All right, we're going to take the eyes that are in Blackboard. This is an eye that I cropped in close off the internet, and do a eye in Illustrator through using the pen tool. So the first thing you're going to need to do is come find Illustrator, and I am there, and I'm going to open a new file. So File to New. And we want it to be small, so on this particular one we're going to make it about 3 inches. So I have it 3 inches by 3 inches, and click Create. And there's our whiteboard for Illustrator. That constitutes a page. So now we're going to create a vector graphic. So we will come in and place. It never quite works to open a document, but when you come into Illustrator, you usually want to place a document. So we're going to go to Place. And I have my eye on my desktop, so I'm going to my desktop and place the picture there. And then you have your picture come into Illustrator, and you're going to click in the top left-hand corner. And if your eye doesn't fit on your whiteboard, then you're going to drag the handles until it does that. If it's way bigger than the board, like mine is, make sure that it fits on the board for the eye itself so that it doesn't go off your screen. And that will work. So the next thing I'm going to do is make sure my layers channel is open. I have it here. If yours isn't open, you're going to go to Window and pull down into Layers until the layers is checked. All right, since that's the background, the steps are always to lock each layer, and it's easier to do one thing at a time so we can go back and modify it when we're done. So I'm going to click here in this box next to the eyeball. That locked the layer, so now I can't do anything to it. That if I click on the eyeball on the layer, it turns the layer off and on. And the other thing that you'll need to be able to do, let's close this so that will come up. Just want layers open. Is add a new layer every time you're going to do something. So you're going to lock the layer and often turn them off and on, and then make a new layer. So this creates a new layer where I put my mouse. And now that we have that layer open, we can draw in it with a pen tool or with a brush tool. So with the pen tool on, I click here, and you can see that this is the color of my pen tool. That's called a stroke. The stroke is whatever color is there, and I can change the color by clicking on it and choosing a new color if I want to. This is called the fill. That will be what's on the inside of what I outline or draw. If I draw with that fill on white, and I'm going to draw the white of the eye here, look what happens when I get to, it starts to fill that in white, and I may not be able to see exactly what I'm drawing. So when you're drawing it, you want to click here and click None. And now see what's happened to my fill, that as I'm drawing the outline to that, and I'm clicking everywhere that you see a dot, I'm not dragging, I'm clicking. Everywhere that you see that dot there, now that I am creating the outline to that area that I want white. And you don't necessarily do a small area. You want to think about this as building up whatever's in the background to the foreground. So what's in the very background is the flesh, and then on this particular one on the eye, what's on the background of that would be the white of the eye. So at this point, since I've got that done, I'm going to come and get the eyedropper and choose the background, and the white of the eye on this eye was pretty gray. And I don't want it to have a black outline on this because I want my eye to be a little bit more realistic than that. So I have no outline now, and I have the white for the background of the eye. And to finish, then I'll come over and click the lock button. So I have that done, but I can't see the rest of my eye. So I can turn that eye off now so that I can continue to draw. Next step, probably for me would be to draw around this green iris. So I'll go back to my pen tool. I have my fill on the white of the eye, so I'm going to switch it so that is off. It's not the right color, but I won't worry about it now. And then right now, it's not letting me do anything. That's because I didn't create a new layer. So I'll create a new layer. And now I can come and add the dots around the iris itself. And that's my next outline path being done. And I'm going to choose a color, so I'll come and get my eyedropper. And I chose that green. And so notice how that's kind of a hazily brownish green there, that was automatically done. And it has no line because there's no outline on it, so it's finished. And I lock it down. And I'm going to turn it off and create a new layer. And this time I'm going to try to do this area. And I could be really exact. You know, I could go in and out. Try to make it a little bit, oh, look what's happening. I forgot to turn off my fill. So I'll switch this over. That went away. I am stylizing this not worrying too much about it being ultra real. And now I get my eyedropper, and I'm looking for this color right here. And then I can lock it down. And if I want to look at the comparison between those two colors, that's what it looks like. So I'm turning them both off. And then I'm going to do the next one and do the same thing. Click a new layer. Come along and get my pen tool and maybe outline the next one. Oops, forgot to turn it off. So I come over here to the side. Switch that over to nothing. And get my eyedropper, get my next color, and lock the layer and go on. Now at this point, and there's my eye so far, I continued drawing the whole thing, but I wanted to show you something you could do to make this look more like a beautiful vector. It is pretty rough. And on each of these layers then, I'm going to want it to smooth down. So once this is all drawn, I'm going to unlock that particular layer. And then to select the layer, that's what this little circle does, is it selects that particular layer that I drew there. And I'm going to go under Effect to Stylize. And there's a lot of different things you can do to stylize that. But to make my drawing prettier, I'm going to round the corners. And I'm going to use whatever radius is automatically in there. And then that layer then became smoother. And under all of these now, I don't have to look for the stylize in effect. It's right there at the top, apply around corners. And notice then how smooth the iris became. Click there and so apply around corners. And it's not going to take my zigzags away. It's just going to make them look more organic and natural. If you like that you have some hard edges and you drew it really carefully, then you might want to leave it alone. But I didn't. So that's why this applying round corners is going to make a prettier eye there. That effect, apply round corners. apply. So go ahead and draw your whole eye. And then if I want to have a flesh tone in my background and I've worked all the way up to my eyebrows, I'm going to come down to the layer that would be right above the flesh. So that was layer 2. And I'm going to click on create a new layer there. And it's actually in the wrong place. It's above the layer and I want it to be below the layer. So now it has a blank layer right below the eye. And then I can come and draw a box around my entire board with my pen tool by clicking in each corner. All the way up to the top. Whoops. And then I can get my eyedropper tool and get a flesh in the background. When you're completely finished, then you want to save your file by clicking save, and that will save it as an Illustrator document. So we can call that eye. If you want to be able to work on it in Photoshop, you're going to go File, Export, and then export as a PNG. So you can do that. And then if your eye's all finished and you want to put it on your blog, then you export and save for web. And that will save it as a GIF. All right, and that should be your finished document. Go down to my desktop here. And here's my finished eye. On my lashes, I didn't quite like what I did with the brush tool or the pen tool, so I took that and played with a filter. There. Have fun.